I think Prime Minister Modi and his cabinet at the center have worked very hard, have worked single-mindedly in reducing corruption at the central level. I rarely hear a complaint of corruption at the central government level. Now, I don't know at the state government level, though I must say in Karnataka I don't hear, but I don't know what it is
At
in
the central
other
government,
states.
though, we have seen recent instances of outrage over the Rafale deal, for instance.
No, I think the Rafale thing, I don't know what the truth is, so I don't want to comment on it. Unless there is data, unless I can look at the data. I'm not in the.
But broadly, you're saying he's been
broadly, I personally feel that the Prime Minister has led a strong progress minded economical progress minded government, and there are lots of good things that have happened. And as you yourself pointed out, several good things that have happened in terms of GDP, in terms of inflation and others. So knowing how complex this country is, knowing that we are in a very complex structure of democracy, that is the central government, the state government, there are subjects which belong to both the government, there are subjects which are purely the prerogative of the state government. I personally think that whatever we have done is something that deserves encouragement, that deserves our gratitude, and I do think that we should be positive about whatever is happening.
Right. In terms of the key reforms, we've seen GST, we've seen the bankruptcy code, for instance. While no one is really questioning the intent, there are questions about the execution, the implementation. Do you think that is but natural for complex reforms like these? Could there have been a better way of doing it, perhaps?
No, but how do I hold the Prime Minister responsible for the execution? You see, it is the bureaucracy that has to execute it. It is the bureaucracy at the central level, at the state level. I mean, it is not Mr. Modi's responsibility to go to every village and keep it clean. It is not Mr. Modi's responsibility to set right every department. His responsibility is to articulate a grand vision, lead by example, work hard, and I think he is doing all of that. Therefore, I don't think it is proper on anybody's part or my part to hold him responsible for execution. The problem is with the Indian mindset, with the Indian psyche. We are apathetic, we are indisciplined, we don't value time. Therefore, there is an urgent need for cultural transformation of India before we can indeed achieve economic transformation in its.
How does one go about achieving that, sir? Because as you said, we are a very complex country, democracy. How do we sort of prioritize cultural transformation, and the onus should be on whom
well,
to
just
get this done?
like the Prime Minister has been focusing on discipline, he is focused on cleanliness, right? That's an extraordinary thing that he has done.
Right.
I think if every political leader, if every corporate leader, if every society leader, if every academician were to articulate the importance of discipline, importance of good work ethic, importance of honesty, importance of putting the interests of the nation ahead of our personal interest in every speech, in every discussion, I do think that it will have an impact on the youngsters.
Right. So is it all the more imperative that the government then, does not steer away from the development agenda? Because, 2014, you heard so much about, maximum governance, minimum government. This government was elected on a development plank, but now, close to 2019, there's a lot of divisiveness in dialogue, a lot of talk on majoritarianism, statues, temples, the entire narrative has changed. So has that disappointed you somewhat that, we have perhaps taken the eye off development reforms as we head closer to 2019?
Those issues are not the issues on which I would focus. For me, every one of the 1.3 billion Indians is important for the country. As Franklin Roosevelt defined in his 4 freedoms speech, a true democracy is one which provides 4 freedoms: freedom of expression, freedom of faith, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. I want India to blossom as a true democracy enjoying the 4 freedoms that Franklin Roosevelt spoke about. For me, any leader that will try to steer India in that direction is what I believe is the right solution for the country. And
are we on the right track then?
I think, if you look at the last few years, I suppose we are learning, we have learned lessons, but I suppose we are making progress.
Right. Last couple of questions, Mr. Murthy. And, this is something that is very important to address. India's strengths, despite governments coming, going, corruption, coalition, has really been its institutions and rule of law. But increasingly, we have, seen evidences of some sort of tension between the executive and some of these institutions, be it RBI, be it CBI, be it Supreme Court or Election Commission. What can we really do to strengthen institutional autonomy or retain institutional autonomy?
I do believe that the founding fathers of this nation and their very early successors thought about these issues well. And some lessons, obviously, they borrowed from the British in the case of RBI and others. So we have to look at these issues very carefully, ponder over them very, very carefully, and do whatever is necessary to ensure that all these institutions are strong. Because one of the things in India is this, that while we may have had strong individuals as leaders, whether it's Nehru or Ms. Modi or Indira Gandhi, whatever it is, somehow we have not paid the same level of attention to institutions. We have allowed our institutions to become weak. It's happened right from Nehru's time. There's nothing new. Therefore, we have to keep that in mind and ensure that our institutions continue to be strong. And if that requires us to do deep introspection and look at all the heritage values that we got from previous generations, I think we should do that.
No, I ask you this because, we spoke to Raghuram Rajan last week on what's happening with the RBI, and he gave a very interesting analogy where he said, the board of the RBI must be like Rahul Dravid, a coach, and not like Sidhu and get into operations. So do you think that inherently could be the problem at some of these institutions? That, there is an overreach happening?
No, Chandra, first of all, even though I served on the board of RBI,
between 2000 and 2004.
I must confess that I am not an expert in monetary policy. I do understand that this is a very important issue. On the one hand, the government, which has the responsibility to ensure that the poorest of the poor have purchasing power to buy the basic stuff, which has the responsibility for industrial growth, is very, very keen on keeping the interest rates low. That's natural. This is an issue that has been the bone of contention in India, in the US, in many, many countries. We all know that, right? Even in the US.
Right.
It's nothing new. On the other hand, RBI, which has the responsibility for monetary policy, which has a primary responsibility for keeping inflation down, has to use the levers that it has to keep spending as low as possible. Therefore, each of them is doing what is legitimately their mandate. So, who the hell am I as an uninformed citizen to give a verdict on that? I am nobody. So, therefore, I would say this should be left to the experts in the finance ministry and at RBI. There are intelligent people on both sides. They have to sit down, discuss, debate, and come to a meaningful conclusion. And I have no doubt at all, having known people on both sides, I have no doubt at all that they will come to
there will be some sort of conciliation.
Oh, absolutely.
It will not be a complete breakdown.
No,
people have been
no, I
fearing.
don't think there'll be. This is not a banana republic.